All right. Am I live? Hello. Hello out there. I think you can probably all hear me well, I think. Let me see here. Voice audio sounds good, I think. At least that's what the meter's telling me. So, all right. Sorry for the late arrival. It's not typical of me to be late for one of my own live streams, but I had to watch the rest of Yellowstone. According to the TV guide, it was supposed to be over at 9 after the hour, and here we are, almost 20 after the hour, and it just got done. So, oh well, what do you expect, I guess? TV, right? Most shows fit within an hour, but not Yellowstone. Yellowstone will just go on and on as long as it takes to finish the episode, which is what I kind of like about it, right? But so sorry, back. A bit of an impromptu stream today. I was actually wasn't actually planning on doing a stream at all today, but what I wanted to do is kind of test out some new gear I got going on here. So my little camera right here is a new 4K camera, like a nice mirrorless camera. I upgraded my cameras to do some more 4K work for my stuff, and this camera is also could be used for live streams, whereas in the past I was using my little webcam, my little Logitech webcam, and it did a good enough job. But rewatching some of my videos or live streams, it just seemed to have a bit of a fuzzy edge to it, and the lighting was kind of funky, right? And so I want to get a better quality live stream camera. And the only way to really do that is to use a real nice camera that can do an HDMI out to the computer, and with a capture card, which I have here, a CamLink 4K by Elgato. I just got that this weekend too, so I forked out some big bucks this past week in order to do better quality live streaming, maybe as an incentive to actually do more live streams. Of course, I don't have a lot of time, it feels like, to even do them, but when I do them, I want to do them well, right? So thanks for joining, y'all. Let me see what I got here. Do I see any comments here? I don't see anything in the chat. Hold on here. Here we go. There we go. All right. So, Netno Belgazel, sorry, welcome. I got 12 concurrent viewers here. So the way this normally goes, I don't do this very often, but when I do it, and those who don't join very often on these streams, feel free to comment all you like, ask all the questions you like. I have a couple topics on my mind that maybe I can start sharing with, but really the whole point of live streams is not to me to preach and lecture like I do in my published or prepared or produced videos, right? This is more of an actual live dynamic interaction between us. So if I start rambling or going off topic about something that doesn't interest you, bring up some other topics in the stream, maybe we can change path and direction as we go, kind of just react and work on that way, right? So anyway, welcome back. It's maybe my last live stream of 2022. This may not be. Maybe I'll do one next week. Maybe I'll play around with this webcam here, or this camera thing some more. Right. So, but I got 15 viewers now. All right, we're starting to file in. That's great. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. Make sure, again, comment. And as part of the commenting, like I was starting to say before, questions, comments, whatever, just throw them in there. Now, if it starts getting a little bit busy, and I don't get to your point, that's maybe not because I ignored you but intentionally. Maybe I just scrolled right past you and didn't notice you. So if you want to get my attention, there is a bit of functionality called a super chat or super whatever. Down at the bottom, there's like a little money icon, right, where you can put some money in. Not only does it send money my way, which is great, but what it does for you is that it gets your name highlighted and moved to the top of the live chat, so I can't miss it, really. Right? So that's the point of that. So if you have something you really want to say or ask, that is a guaranteed way to get my attention. So, all right, so I'm only going to be on for maybe an hour and a half tops, maybe less, depending on how topics go here. But I realized I haven't done a live stream in months, and the last live stream I did do was, I think, an impromptu brew day live stream. And that live stream was fun, but it was just sort of willy-nilly ad-lib in the middle of a brew day. We had distractions and things going on that kept me from actually focusing on talking and interacting with you, right? So here I am. Throw things my way if you like. Let me actually close this pinned chat here since I'm already here now. So there we go. All right, so a couple of videos. I put out a number of videos this fall. A lot of it was actually just looking back at the last half dozen or more videos, and actually it was largely food-centric, which was not by design. I think it's just the way it worked out. I was doing a lot of different food recipes and doing different things. The end of the year harvest for my garden being one of them. Corn harvest season came around, so I had to do a lot of corn, bagging corn and stuff, and that was something I did with the Spike Solo basket. If you had seen that video, I did some sous vide with my Spike Solo. I made about 70 something like brats for an Oktoberfest party, which I actually did some filming for, and 2 different beers for, which I intended to do full videos on. In fact, I have a lot of material filmed around that time. I upgraded a jockey box, replaced the copper coils in my old jockey box that I built myself with some copper with some stainless steel ones provided by Clay at Jaded Brewing. So he stepped in and upgraded my beer cooler or my jockey box for that party, Oktoberfest I threw, which also coincided to be my actual 50th birthday as well. So I had a big party. I mean, we had probably 80 people here or more in this little house, or outside actually. And I brewed a fest beer and an Oktoberfest, or a Märzen, 2 different styles of Oktoberfest beers. I brewed those, filmed those, right? I still have raw footage, but now it's like the end of December. Now it's almost like it's too late to even go back and like put all that into anything that's entertaining or interesting in terms of a video format now. So I got to decide whether I'm going to even go down that road anymore. Because I got a whole backlog of videos going back months that I have not gotten around to putting together into something watchable. That's the hardest part of the hobby is not the filming, which is challenging because there are camera techniques about white balance and focus and angles and making sure the audio is good and all that too. But what's also even more time consuming is the post-production, getting all the clips put together, massaging the audio, the video, going back and reshooting B-roll to get stuff to show, because nobody wants to see a talking head for an hour or a half hour or 20 minutes, right? You want to show stuff. That's the whole point of the video format, and all that kind of adds hours and hours to each video, which is precious time. So, okay, I see a question here already from G60 Guy. Opinion on which stainless steel stout faucet or SS stout faucet to get. Working with CO2 only made maybe nitro later. Well, I don't have a stout faucet myself, honestly. I don't have nitrogen or a stout faucet today. I have thought about it, but the capacity around my kegerator and space behind it for both a CO2 tank and a nitro tank at the same time and having everything, I just don't have the room and space for both, so I just kind of just default to CO2. But I do have a couple brand faucets that have removable nozzles, so you could put the stout faucets on them. Like the inner tap was, I have a number of those. I have a Nuka tap now, some Perlix, I think. Oh, the Perlix are not removable though. It's just the inner tap and Nuka tap brands, and there's others too out there that you can use to replace. Let's see. So if I unscrewed one, actually, hold on a minute. So I have a visual aid here. I have this is, I think, a inner tap faucet. All right, and the nozzle comes off. Oh, I bumped the camera there, sorry. But this piece comes off. All right, ta-da! And then you could put on any other attachment you want, like that one, or this is a one for the growler, right? And they sell a stout faucet attachment for this faucet as well. So, maybe look into those. Let's see, got any more questions here? Congrats on your rebrew of Dragon's Milk Clone. Saw the video earlier today. So yeah, that was the one I think I posted yesterday morning, right? And that was my newest video. That's my most recent one. So that was, yeah, so for those who recall, I brewed this Dragon's Milk clone. And those who don't know what Dragon's Milk is, because I keep forgetting, I have people watching this, and not just different parts of this country who don't know what Dragon's Milk is. I got people from other countries also watching who don't even know or never even heard of this brand. So backing up a little bit, for those who don't know, the Dragon's Milk is a brand of beer by a brewery in Michigan called New Holland, and they for decades have been known for making this an imperial stout, or a bourbon stout, a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout. And that's basically what a lot of people get introduced to, from what I understand, in terms of that style. Around here in Chicago, Goose Island has been making their version called the Bourbon County Stout for almost as long. And there's a difference in not, I don't say quality, but a difference in flavor. The Goose Island one is much thicker and more viscous, while the Dragon's Milk is more, I wouldn't say sessionable, because there's still at least 10% alcohol in them. But yeah, so I actually, about a year ago, I brewed a clone as published by New Holland in an old issue of Brew Your Own magazine going back to 2008. And I happen to have that issue. Finally, after 12 to 13 years, finally got around to brewing one of those. It turned out well during that live stream I did a year ago, but since my focus was on the live stream and not so much on the recipe, I really didn't do a really good follow. I did a follow-up tasting video, but I didn't do like a whole A to Z kind of thing. And so now it's been a year later, and this is the time of year where I would do these things. So there I am. I made my next annual batch of bourbon stout with a few tweaks and a few good tweaks, I'd say. I changed the bourbon up a little bit. I used darker or more heavier toasted oak chips, which added a little more character to it. I bumped up the gravity, several specific gravity points, and so it's a little bit heavier, a little bit more viscous, but not a whole lot as compared to the last Dragon's Milk clone recipe. So yeah, I'm totally stoked. I actually have, in fact, I gotta pour me up a glass here now that you mention it, but I had 10 gallons of it. One keg's already dead because about half that keg got canned, because I canned probably nearly half that batch, and then I have a whole new keg here that I just tapped a day or two ago. So I'm looking forward to trying that. Let's see what we got here. Some more comments here. What's happening, James? Yeah, hey, what's going on, brother? Let's see. Somebody said, okay, so you got Intertaps, and you like them also a single chrome faucet. Krome. Is that like a brand Chrome, or is that just a misspelling of the word chrome? I never heard of the brand Chrome, if that's what you meant. Have I got my hands on one of the Blickman G4 fermenters yet? I have not. The G4 is the conical, right? Much like the Spike CF series, right? Yeah, no, I don't have conicals in that manner. Because I don't really brew in that way, where because one of the disadvantages of having a large conical or any large fermenter of that size in bulk is that you can't move it around easily, right? And so unfortunately for my situation where I live in my lifestyle, I have to brew in the garage and ferment down here in the basement. And to get something that big and bulky down several flights of stairs and doorways to get down here to ferment is not going to be fun or safe. So no, I don't. I've never dealt with the G4s. Blickman, though, I just had a call with them last week. There's some new products coming. I'm going to get my hands on at least one of them. One of them, at least. I can't say what it is yet. So, but it's not a G4, so I can't tell you that. So you kick around with the BrewTech Spike, the SS BrewTech. That's the bucket fermenters, right? I think you're talking about. Are you talking about like the larger ones, Spike or Blickman conicals? I guess you mean like the bigger ones. So I've had the Spike CF10 for a couple months. I gave it a shot, and that's when I discovered the inefficiency of moving such a big thing around, and plus having to keep it in under a temperature controlled environment. So you need some glycol chilling going on, or you need to have a very large fridge to hold it in. That's what's kept me away from those bigger, also the price too, those bigger conicals. Honestly, I'm really quite happy with my newer, which is also an old approach, right? I mean, the bucket style fermenters, and I don't mean just plastic buckets. Right? I mean, I don't do that anymore, but like the bucket style, like the Spike Flex Plus, or the Firmzilla All-Rounder, or the Fermenter King Jr. Snubby. I got that, but they all have in and the Kegerator now. I've been using that a lot this year, the Kegerator, but they all don't have dump valves. They just have cavities in the bottom, right? Rounded or coned or domed or flat even, and but they're pressurizable. And with a floating dip tube in them, I don't really care about the cone and the dump valve. I don't need them. And they're smaller enough to fit inside my refrigerators, so I can keep them climate controlled. And they're small enough to carry up and down stairs and through doorways and things without hurting myself. So that's the path I've gone with fermenters. That's just my personal preference. It is cool to see pretty shiny metal, but in practice, I prefer to split my 10-gallon batches down into 5-gallon batch fermenters so I can transport them easier, usually. Let's see, Nuka Taps. Yeah, Nuka Taps, I think, were the next... Are the Nuka Taps the next generation of the Intertap by the same company, or is that Kegland versus Keg King? That whole discrepancy, right? Because they were one company once upon a time, right? Not more than just 3 or 4 years ago. I think there were still one company. And I keep forgetting, because the names are so similar and the common history between them all, I keep forgetting which brand belongs to which company now, quite frankly. I have to refresh myself each time I think about them, honestly. Question from Christine Chambers. Hey, Larry, how is your Kegerator working? All repaired? Okay. Yeah, it's working again. Thanks for asking. It's right here next to me. The problem with that was back in March, we had a power surge. The lights went, and that happens a lot because our street T-bones with a main road, and whenever there's an accident on the main road, they take down the power lines and stuff. So the power surge, I lost a lot of my electronics. I mean, I had stuff fry. I had to get a new computer. In one case, I had to get a new receiver. And my fridge got zapped. Pretty much anything with a circuit board that was still plugged in and not attached to a good suppressor, or surge suppression strip, whatever, got hit. So my fridge was plugged right into the wall, got hit, and it zapped the power board. Now, it may not have just been that, because during my research, trying to research how to fix that board, I found out that the Kegerators, the Series 4, were prone to power supply failures even before the power surge. So I think the power surge just pushed it over the edge. Thought it'd be no big deal to get a new part. I went to the U.S. supplier, Williams Brewing, who sold them, the only supplier in the U.S. that did, and sold spare parts for, and they couldn't get them for 6 months. I mean, it was, I went from March to September, I believe, before I got, at the very end of September, I finally got the board. I was able to replace it. And it's all good. It's working again. I went out and bought a nice, very expensive, I hope it's worth the money, surge suppressor strip now for the Kegerator. So any more power surges, maybe the power strip will fry first this time, because, man, with all the supply chain problems going on around the world, man, this is this one thing that was just like, really? This too? But yeah, it's working again. I got 2 kegs, well, 1 keg left in there now. And yeah, thank you for asking. Let's see what else we got here. Very nice haircut, Musty Ditch. Actually, my hair, I just combed it. I actually had like Seinfeld hair, or Kramer hair from Seinfeld. My hair was all over. I'm like, oh no, I have to get on the live stream. I have to wet it and comb it. So it's just that way because I just wetted it, basically, I imagine. But thanks for pointing that out. So KO Brewing says you love the video. You try to do a Bourbon County based recipe every year or so. Okay, good. You agree with me that the type of bourbon you use makes a big difference. Yeah, it's interesting because typically when I cook, or over the years, or when somebody says, "Oh, just add some cooking wine to the dish," it's like some crappy, like spoiled oxidized sherry bottle that you bought for $1.98 on the grocery store shelf or something, right? Well, if you use something a little bit better quality, you actually taste it, right? It's the same thing with like, going down the cooking thing about making your own stock, versus the store-bought cubes, or making your own stock from bones. Night and day difference, right? So it's the same kind of thing here. I do agree, the bourbon does make a difference, because a lot of recipes say just use any rot gut bourbon that you can find, and I guess my palate's a little higher than that, because I can tell the difference between Woodford Reserve, which I have around here somewhere, and rot gut, which I don't have around here anymore. But yeah, I totally see your point there. Chrome is a brand. CROM is a brand. El Cheapo. Okay. Well, thanks. I had never heard of it. Just by chance, is it all chrome plated stuff? Because I don't like chrome plated stuff. The stuff flakes off, chips off, and you see that crappy lead filled brass underneath it, and then comes in contact with the beer. I'm just not comfortable with chrome plated brew hardware anymore. So I would suggest sticking with stainless steel. It costs 15% more, 20% more, but totally worth it, because it's stainless steel from top through the middle. You scrape it and scratch it, it'll still be stainless steel underneath that coating, because it's all stainless steel. I kind of frown on the chrome stuff today. Okay, so evening, Northwest Small Batch Brewing. Well, thanks for joining. Let's see, another comment. The tap is okay. So you get the tap as part of a all-in-one party tap solution. Okay, before you realized it was going to be blasting a ton of foam, or only having a trickle of beer during this. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. That the whole foam balancing thing. It's like I think we all go through that starting up in the hobby. We take for granted that you can just get beer off a tap at the bar, and it comes out with a perfect pour most of the time, with a nice little thin head on top, and it's a nice full glass. And then you get your first kegerator, and you're so excited, you out and either buy a keg or brew a keg, whatever, and you throw it in there, and you hook it up, and you start pouring, and it's all foam. And you're like, oh man, what's going on? And then you have to, like I did, have to go, well, what's the science behind, carbonation and like beer lines and stuff? And I learned, so you learn about, hey, this thing called draft system balancing, or beer line balancing, where you want to balance the length of the beer line to add the friction required to back or slow the flow rate from the pressure inside the keg that's wanting to push it really fast down the tube. And a lot of people, they work around it by turning down the pressure and pulling the little gas ring, the PRV on the keg temporarily, just so they can get a smooth pour. And all you're doing is wasting gas and causing yourself some trouble. So, but it's like the learning curves that we go through, right? And over time you go, that makes sense now. I need a longer line. Or you're getting foam in your tap because the flow control thing is so super restricted. You're actually adding turbulence to the cup. So I don't even like to use flow control faucets anymore either, for that reason and stuff. So it's those kind of things that you learn as you go, right? And experience. But at that point, you have a whole pile of different types of taps and hardware things. He's trying different things to come to a solution. One of the things that actually I think I do like, I'm still not 100% sure if I would promote it so much, but there's a rather than a flow control piece on the tap, so rather than, I got a visual aid right here. So rather than this little valve here that turns, they actually put that flow restrictor back on the ball post of the keg, and it's got like a little dial on it. I don't have it around here to show you. But that seems to do a lot better at the flow control without foaming. But that's just what I've been experiencing, and I would probably buy more of them once I start brewing more than a couple batches at a time now. I've kind of been slowing down with the hobby this year. Been kind of really busy and putting on a lot of weight. So So I'm just trying to get rid of the incentives to like eat and drink a lot, and brewing is a bad hobby for that. So I thought I was going to take a break this winter and not brew that much or at all, and I was going to nurse this bourbon stout all through the winter and actually give most of it away, honestly, because if you see my recipe sheet, I have a calorie estimator on there, and it's like 500 calories a pint or something. So you imagine putting a few of those down, pounds will just pile on. Let's see here. A comment from DJAF. There are 2 7-gallon SS Brewtech fermenters for sale. 150 each. You only use plastic wide mouth fermenters currently. 150 of those SS Brewtech fermenters. Those aren't the pressurizable ones, right? Those are just the brew buckets. Those are good fermenters. I actually wish I had a couple of those just for average brews. But I haven't bought them because they're $150 a piece, and I have a bunch of existing fermenters that do just as fine. But if I was starting up in the hobby and I had some money to burn, yeah, that'd be something to consider. I kind of wish I had a couple just to play with. So do I brew with rye much? A question from James. I think I've only brewed one rye. But that was a co-brew, and not even my brew. It was a rye PA that Mike and Paul up at what's their channel now? These guys haven't published in a while. Home Brewing TV. They put their channel on hiatus last year, so they kind of hung up the video hat. But when I was up there one time, we did brew a batch of that rye PA, and it was really good. I would definitely do it. In fact, I love rye whiskey too. I got some rye whiskeys off to the side here. I like them. I would do it. I just haven't had the perfect opportunity or the reason to brew that over some other style. Like, for example, I wanted to brew this bourbon stout. Nothing was going to make me put that aside. Right, that was my number one goal right now, was to make that beer. So I'll consider it. So Jason, what's up, Jason? Oh man, it's a coworker of mine, Jason there. Eliopis. Damn it! Sorry, I butchered that one because I'm trying to squint to see it. But hey, man, thanks for joining. KO Brewing. He bought chrome and they seal, but from the inside they wear off. So the inside coating wears off in a year. See, the chrome coating wears through, and then now you have to wonder where that chrome plating went into your glass, and then the brass contact with all that carbonated acidic beer. Don't do chrome. That's my advice. Go with the stainless. So you got about, okay, so you have to spend lots of money. $800 to get into brewing about a year ago. Went from 0 to 100 really quick. Well, yeah, just like any hobby. I mean, I got into the hobby really pretty cheap. I got a couple glass carboys, a bucket for bottling, some bottles that I just kind of saved from drinking and just took the labels off and just reused them and stuff. That was like back in the early 2000s, probably around 2000 time frame. And and then you just kind of grow your hobby over time, and then you spend more and more money at it. Let's see here. You guys, boy, great comments here, guys. Let's see. Full controls at the Liquid Post. Yeah, okay, Northwest Small Batch Brewing said, yeah, he just ordered one of those full controls from the Liquid Post, and give it a try. I had great success with it, all except for one beer, and I can't remember why. I think I had took it apart to wash it, put it back together, and threw it in a really cold fridge, and I think it iced up on me because I couldn't get beer to flow through it, and I was frustrated by it, and so I had to take it off and put the regular black beverage post on instead, and that worked. But I think that was because something I did to it right before I used it. Anyway, let's see. So stainless steel fermenters and glycols, the last piece to the puzzle, you're saying? Yeah, and I will avoid that as long as I can, because honestly, I don't like noisy, messy glycol pumps and in your house, right? That's just a noise. I mean, I'm irritated by the sound the fridge is making right now next to me. So I don't want to have to go through that with the glycol chiller in my house. My family would hate me for it, and I just happen to be fortunate enough that I have a basement here in the Midwest that's pretty temperate year-round, summer and winters both. It's pretty much in the mid-60s down here. I can heat it up with a little space heater, right? But generally, that's great for ales and even fermenting lagers at room temperature under pressure. I haven't had a need to go to that route. So I don't think I'll be going down that path anytime, at least not in this house. Got any suggestions from Christine on making low ABV sessionable beers? Got any suggestions? Obviously use less grain, more water, less grain. That's pretty obvious, right? Lower alcohol, but it'll be lighter in body. But there's ways to thicken up the body, I guess. I think with maybe some crystal malts, maybe get a little more body to it. Maybe, I don't know. I've never brewed a low alcoholic beer by design. Maybe brew low alcoholic beer styles. Like last winter, I brewed an English mild, which only had like 4% ABV. And it was mild. It was drinkable. It was fine. Beyond that, I have to delve into that some more too. Actually, my goal this coming year was to build lower calorie beers, which also might be lower in alcohol too by corollary, I suppose, right? All right, let's see. Oh, Brian's here. Hey, Brian, welcome. Hey, Brian's back, everybody. Say hey, Brian. Everybody say hi to Brian at Short Circuit of Brewers. He's been out of commission since January, if I remember, right? Or early January even. It's been almost a whole year, but he's back. He's back. It looks like he's posting stuff on Instagram, at least. Made a comment, I think, on YouTube recently, I think. Did you? So I hope you enjoy the beer I sent you and the hot sauce. I hope that turned out well for you. So we'll see here. Jason says, saw the video on... machine that seals the cans, the can seamer, yeah. I made a comment about the hassle of the process, especially with bottles. Probably one of the reasons I stopped home brewing in retrospect. Yes, so that was one of the topics I wanted to bring up tonight once the commentary dies down a bit here and there's some dead space. But generally speaking, like I said in the video, and I've made comments in the past, it's cool. It's kind of a fad novelty kind of thing today because it's relatively a newer thing for home brewers to can beer, because for generations it's been like bottles and capping bottles and things, right? And that's a disincentive to the homebrew hobby. I mean, I quit homebrewing for I think about a year and a half or so, just cold turkey, because I said I so sick of the bottle washing and the bottle cleaning and all. And I swore if I were to get back into brewing my next batch, it would be a keg. So I started saving money and went out and got all the equipment before I brewed my next beer and started kegging. Got a kegerator, got the kegs, got the CO2 tanks. It costs a lot of money, but after 8 or 9 years of brewing in bottles, it was time. The can is much alike that though, right? I mean, canning and bottling are very much the similar. I wouldn't say the same. Same as far as the mess and hassle of the actual bottling and canning, but what canning does have an advantage over bottles is that you don't have to scrub, clean, rinse, soak the cans. They're already ready to go basically in the box. You just sanitize them and fill them and seal them just like bottles, but the bottles you have to clean in first and get all the gook and mold and stuff out of them. You get the bottle brush in there, trying to get all that crap out of there. What a big pain in the butt. So canning is better than bottling, yes. Is it better than kegging? No. In my opinion, I prefer my beer right out of the keg, but I think I said in that video also that a huge advantage canning has is that you can take it with you and send it to people. Like I sent out about a half dozen cans around to different people online and friends and family and others around the United States. And I probably may not have wanted to do that with bottles, right? Because bottles are a little pricier. If you get those nice, thick, reusable bottles with the thick walls that you can actually use like a bunch of times, a case of those is not cheap, right? So with canning, it's a lot cheaper per can. You can throw them away, discard them when you're done. You don't care about getting them back at some point in the future. So in that regard, yeah, it's better. It's better. It's good to have the options. Let's say it's good to have a canning option. It's good to have a bottling option, a growler option, I got a small mini keg right behind me here. It's about a gallon and a half that will hold a gallon and a half worth of beer, right? So, hey, lots of options. But there's all reasons for doing one or the other, and personal preference as well, right? Let's see. Oh, Brian just says he just got done editing the Stout and Tabasco tasting. Dropped this week. Awesome, man. I hope it's not a bad review. I mean, everyone I've given it to and has tried it has liked it, I guess. At least that's what they tell me. So I guess we'll see. I think a couple of the cans, though, in hindsight, I was chatting, IMing with Brian and one other person actually about this, that the cans, about a quarter to a third of that batch I brewed, ultimately it turned out they had very small leaks. I mean, so small, you didn't even know it was leaking until you saw the solidified bourbon stout little drop on the one part on the seam. You're like, what's this? And it's like, huh. And so I have to go back and revisit what I did wrong with that, because I did the whole batch. Most of them were good, some of them were bad. So it's like, well, it's the same. So I wonder if I wasn't trying so hard, if I was not paying attention to the process while I was filming. That's my first suspect. Either that or the steamer went out of alignment during the bottling, which is possible too, because another downside to canning is the need to check and inspect the seams of the cans every so often, and to recalibrate the device, which I have not yet done. It needs a special tool called a teardown tool. So what you got to do is that you got to can a fake can, cut it a certain way with this tear off tool, cut a cross section through it, measure and inspect the cross section of the seam. And then you take some measurements with some calipers and things and make sure that that the mandrels on the can seamer are within a parameter or a specification. And that's something that you don't have to worry with bottling, right? You just grab the bottle capper and crank it on there and you're done. So again, there's some good, there's some bad with each of these processes. There's no one thing that's perfect, right? Let's see. Yep. All brewers are as janitors and yeast stewards. That's right. We don't make beer, the yeast make beer. As the saying goes, right? Yeah. It is nice to see Brian back, man. Good to see you, Brian. I can't see you, obviously, but good to see that you're online. My thing just scrolled past on me again. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Okay, so then, oh boy. What's up, Larry? Your old buddy Sean. Oh, Sean's on here. All right. Yeah, my old buddy and neighbor Sean. Sean Wolf. Hey, man. I hope you're still on and didn't log off before I could comment to you. But nice to see you, man. Hey, we might be throwing a party for New Year's Eve if you're interested. You're probably not with kids and all, but since our kids are older now, we have the freedom to do stuff again. So we might have a small neighborhood party. If you're out, of course, you're welcome to come back if you like to the old hood for that. Cool. Yeah, good to see you on here, Sean. Yeah, so Brian says about canning that he really likes because he's got a couple of canners over there, I believe. So yeah, so it's good for sending a beer or two home with some friends. So yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true too. Of course, if I'm going to give beer to friends who are within driving distance, I just give them a growler and just ask for it back the next time I see them. Of course, sometimes those growlers disappear. You know who you are. I won't say who it is, but I know. I'm just kidding. Chad. I'm just kidding, Chad. Of course, he did lose a growler, though. Okay. Boy, Brian's really getting in here with all the comments. Sweet, good on you, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I've been talking for like a half hour straight, and the beer is right here within arm's reach. If you guys don't mind, Brian, keep them entertained, or you guys chat amongst yourselves. I need to grab me a glass and a sample of my bourbon stout. I'll be right back. I'm over here. I'm not too far away. Probably turn my other camera on so you guys can see me pouring this, but that would take too much more time to go find the camera and connect it. So there we go. Okay. All right. Coming back. All right. So let's see. Can I focus on that? Yeah, I can. See, this camera is much better at adjusting the focus than my other ones were. So that's the bourbon stout. Very good. Thirst quenching, not so much because it's heavy and malty, but wet and cold, it is. All right. So canning does seem like a ton of work, but it's also less work than bottling. Again, from what I've seen. So it is a ton of work. So is bottling. So both are a lot of work. It's not going to solve the labor problem. Still got to put the elbow grease into a can for sure. All right. Oh, so Brian did say that he enjoyed the beer or the sauce. Excellent. Very good. Good. Or both, maybe. I forgot which one I sent you. I made like 5 different fermented sauces. And boy, you people are really going at it here. This is great. Elementary Brewing, he's got the Kegerator Pro. He can about 200 cans with 0 miss seams. Oh, really? Well, then maybe I was doing something wrong, because that's what the manual for the one I got says. He should check it every few hundred cans. Well, I've only done a few dozen cans, so I think it was just operator error then, right? I mean, I think I may not have applied enough pressure on one of the seam pass, step 1 or step 2, right? So maybe. And there's different can and lid styles. Yes, there are, G60 guy. Different styles, different cans, different mandrels for them too. So depending on the brand you buy, some of them come with a certain one by default. That's probably common for the country or region that it's from or being sold in. But there's other ones. There's at least 3 different styles of cans I'm aware of. Maybe more. So yeah, so that's another thing that you got to work out. It's the same thing with wine bottles too. I mean, there's different size corks for different size wine bottles. Bottle caps, I'm not too sure about. I think that's pretty universal. I think. Brian sent me $5, man. Little tip for the beer mail. You betcha, man. I packed those things so tight in there with like all the packing peanuts and foam and all that stuff and the bubble wrap and everything. It's like I'm paranoid about the stuff breaking and shipment because I've seen how some of those boxes are treated. Right. So very cool. Very cool. Brian's only got one. Oh, Brian sent the other one back. Okay. So the SL1 is the one that's like motor operated. So obviously that's the one you'd probably keep, right? For sure, man. Very good. We got, Christopher Vodka. Welcome, Chris. Cheers. Salute to another fella. I haven't talked to or seen him since that one live stream we did on CH's channel, wasn't it? A couple months ago. It's been a while on the happy hour, I should say. What else we got here? I'm underrated live streamer. I do a great job of keeping the conversation going. Loved you on CH's Homebrew for Life live stream. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. In fact, I haven't been on his stream in a while. I mean, I barely had time to even do much of anything on the weeknights because he does his streams mostly on Wednesdays. I think he does them on Tuesdays and Thursdays too. But I actually haven't talked to him in a while either. So I've been kind of busy and sidetracked with the holidays between Thanksgiving coming up and now Christmas coming up, and just my day job being real busy this fall, trying to meet schedules and things, and then being tired and exhausted at the end of each of these days to want to do anything extracurricular. I just want to veg, and then I got into some shows. Been watching some shows with the wife, Netflix, HBO Max, Prime Video, all these different streaming services. So we got kind of pulled into a number of shows, which did kill a lot of time, but definitely good for my mental health to like be able to unwind and watch something like that. and not be constantly working until midnight every night doing stuff, right? That's cool. Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah. So yeah, it's let's see if I can show it again. I mean, it's not much to see because it's black. I mean, it's not like, oh, look how clear it is, or wow, look at the effervescent bubbles coming up through the beer. It's just black, like cold coffee. But there's no bitterness to it. So I think last year I did that live stream brew day where I made this beer like this, and I put all the greens, just like every time I brew beer, I put all the greens in the mash all at one time. Didn't think nothing about it. And then someone says, you should probably add those roasted grains late in the mash because you're not really mashing them because they're roasted, right? There's nothing that they can provide except sugar. And okay, it makes sense. And plus, if you put them in too early, it's like it turns bitter, like old coffee in a coffee pot, right? Bitter. So I took that advice this year, put them in the last 15 minutes of the mash, and I mean, I assume it worked great because I don't taste any bitterness here. I mean, just enough to offset the malt sweetness and the bourbon and the oak flavor. Oh, that's so good. All right, what else we got here? So Elementary Brewing says time-wise canning is really no different than bottling, but in my opinion, it's way easier and more fun, but it depends on the equipment. Yeah, it does. I mean, it was a little bit of a challenge to hold the power drill with my left hand, can with the right, and talk over my shoulder to a camera in that video I did. But it's not impossible. I mean, it's doable. It's fine. It's just but with a motorized one, that's a free hand now you have to drink a beer while you're canning. So I don't know, just thinking. I give Brian the Tabasco onion one. Yeah, the Tabasco onion, I call it. So I made these 5 fermented sauces. I actually started with 6, but one went bad, and I did a video on that and why as well. But then it was so I had 5 of them, and there are largely different ratios and combinations of either habaneros, Tabascos, Melrose, Havasu peppers, and then I would mix in, depending on the batch, I would ferment onion in it, or ferment tomatoes with it, or I'd ferment mango with it, garlic, things like that. So all kinds of interesting flavors. I think my favorite one is the habango, which is the habanero and mango one. But the Tabasco and onion, I also like. That's really good on certain foods. That fermented onion flavor is interesting, isn't it? It's like I don't think I've ever had fermented onion before, and it definitely had a definite aroma to it. It was interesting and flavor. Some more questions and comments here. Let me scroll down. You guys are all chatting amongst yourselves. That's great. What shows am I into lately? I think that's a question for me. And wait, hold on. Austin Maddox wants to do a mandatory beer chug. I am not doing a mandatory beer chug with a 10% ABV beer. So, sorry, ain't happening, man. I could have tied one on yesterday for my Christmas party that I hosted here, and I'm going a little light today. But no master beer chug. So going back to the shows. Well, actually, I've seen a number of just random shows and movies. Not a whole lot worth really talking about. I mean, for us, it was a lot of getting caught up on shows that most of you probably have already seen, like last year or 2-3 years ago. We got this backlog of stuff we haven't got caught up on, and one of those is we watched all 3 seasons of this show called Dark, which you think is a dumb name because, like, what does that tell you? And but it was actually a German show. It's dubbed in English or with English subtitles in the native German. It's your option, right? It's an option on the control. But we watched it dubbed in English, and it was basically a time travel piece, but not corny, cheesy time travel like Back to the Future or any of these other like just corny ones like the Terminator. It was actually like they really tried to approach it from our real scientific understanding of paradoxes, right? Like you can't go back in time and kill your father. so you wouldn't be born because you wouldn't be around to go kill them, right? It's like something like comes in and stops you from doing it is the theory, right? That's the paradox part of that. So that show is based upon a small German town with a bunch of people all interacting, and as things unravel over episode by episode, season by season, it's intriguing. But what was really cool about it is that by the end of the third season, when it was all done and over, they looped all the way back around to the first episode of the first season, and everything all made like this time loop sense. And all the pieces, because like there's shows out there that just do oddball stuff just to get ratings and eyeballs on the screen, but they never chase down those subplots or they never wrap them up. This show wrapped them up, I think all of them. And I've never seen them before in any show. So if you want to watch something this winter that will take you about a couple of weeks of nightly watching to burn through, I would go on Netflix and watch Dark. It was great. So what else we got here, folks? Let's see here. Pretty clear. Dark. Yeah, the dark late grains. Yeah, I just mentioned that. Right, Brian? Good. Yeah, Dragon's Milk is all about the smooth malty taste and a ton of alcohol. Well, there you go. Growlers to go. You only keg. Oh, that's what I've been doing for years, right? I mean, I got a growler right here. Got one right there, right? I got a growler right here next to it. I got one, two. I got like a half dozen growlers just sitting around here, and I still use them. I'll bring them to poker nights or parties that I attend that I plan to leave with the growler with later, right? So that's the easiest path to bring beer anywhere. I mean, again, going back to canning, the reason why you want to can, aside from giving it away and not caring about the container, is that when you can sanitize the cans really well and keep the oxygen out. So when you can, it'll stay good for a long time. If you use a growler, you're basically you're planning on drinking that beer within the next day or so, right? That night, the next day. So you don't care too much about sanitation. You don't care too much about staling in the beer, air getting inside the vessel. But each vessel has its purpose, right? That's my point. And they're all good purposes. Or a crowler. Yeah, those like craft breweries and pubs and all have those crawlers now, which is kind of a disappointment. The place that I go to around here, the places that I've seen, at least, that make the crawlers, like those big 32-ounce cans that they'll can their own beer for you to take home. I've watched some of them do it, and they don't purge the air out of the can. They'll fill it up almost to the top with a big air gap in it, and then they'll can it or put the lid and seam it. So, but that's no different than a growler at that point, because they didn't sanitize the can, they didn't purge all the air out of it. So now you basically have a couple days or a few days before it starts to taste funky. So it's like you bring that big 32-ounce growler home, you're on the schedule, the clock, right? Oh, I better open this beer tonight or tomorrow before it starts going bad. So, and if you wait, they don't taste as good. They start going bad. So, A question from the JC and Saniac. Larry, did you find the Mocha Oak chips I mentioned? No, I haven't looked them up. No, I saw your post though. I just never heard of Mocha Oak chips. I mean, there's like light toast, medium toast, heavy toast, right? There's Hungarian, French, American. I just never heard of the term Mocha. I didn't know if that was just another name for an existing type of roast. That's all. But I have not looked it up. I have to maybe try to look them up. I'm curious, of course. A question from Jason: and how long can I keep a bourbon stout without it going bad? So the Goose Island bourbon stouts will last you probably a few years easily, I'm sure, or longer. I mean, I've had bottles that I drank that were several years old, and the flavors eventually change. They either mellow or something else. It's like it's just. The flavors change from the time they're bottled to the time you drink them, but I don't think the flavors change to the point where they taste bad. So probably several years worth. I mean, I don't know. I mean, beers, like wines are meant to be drank, right? Within a few years as well, right? And some people keep wines around for decades only find out that they turned to vinegar long ago. Right, so they keep them as like wall decorations, right, rather than as something to drink, right? But as far as the stout, it depends. Again, just like any beer, you can be really good with your sanitation, avoiding oxygen during rackings, but from the fermenters to you can use a closed system transfer to keep all the air away from the beer. You can purge your kegs. You can be really anal about it, really sanitized about it. Keep all the air out, and you could probably have that beer last you 6 months or more in the keg, or longer. I don't know. I've never had it last that long personally. Or you can be real sloppy, splash the beer while you're racking it. Don't care about the air exposure. A little lax on the sanitation part of it, and next thing you know, your beer is starting to taste stale in just a few weeks. It really depends on your quality of your skill, basically, and equipment or processes, I think, to make it last that long. But really, do you really think that's going to last you more than 6 months? Like I got this. I mean, this is going to be gone by like New Year's Eve, probably. Oh yeah, if we're going to open for New Year's Eve. Oh yeah, Jason, just hold on to it. If you've had it this long, you might as well just wait those next few weeks. Oh yeah, for sure. Dark. Okay, so I got a comment from Netanel. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I apologize again. Dark was a really nice show. Yeah, it was. I too agree. Highly recommended if you were into those really slowly developing, like overarching like mysteries that slowly get solved episode by episode. Things happen in earlier episodes that you wonder is just a time filler because some shows put shit into the show just to kill time. So you think of this, but then you find out an episode or 5 later that it's like, oh, that goes back to that episode back when we saw, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why they did that. So it all makes sense in hindsight. It's actually really good. Brian, good night, Brian. Thanks for joining. You're probably already off the air, but I'll talk to you again later. Cheers, Brian. Good night, y'all. Okay, Zach. Hey, how's it going, man? Late to the game? That's all right. I'm late to hosting a live stream. I haven't done one in months. I was mentioning earlier, so I'm going to give it a shot here again. Some more comments about the different bourbon style. Okay, all right, really good. So, Zach, you have a 14% barley wine. It's been in the keg for almost a year. Yeah, okay. Bourbon County Stout, have a 14 and 15 still. Yeah, I mean, those beers will last because they're heavy, they're high alcoholic, they're high in alcohol. They'll last a long time, a lot longer than the average beer. Reminds me of a Yogi Bear saying, "Oh, more than the average beer." Boo boo. I'm showing my age now. Probably a lot of you don't even know what I'm talking about with Yogi Bear. Anyway, very good, fellas. Cool. All right. Well, what was the title of my live stream? Oh yeah, canning homebrew and brewing big beers, and that's what we've been talking about. Perfect, man. You guys are just right on point here. I'm glad you. Oh, hey, boo boo. See, some of you know. Oh, I should pull up a clip. Oh, that's another thing I haven't done. I haven't done a live stream in a while. I'm afraid if I start looking up stuff and I can't share it, and it's going to waste your time. But here, let me find a clip of Yogi Bear. Why? Why not? Let's see, Yogi. I hope I don't get bonged from YouTube for showing this stuff. Oh, it's Yogi with the I. Yeah, of course. Oh, no, I'm not going to bother with any of this. I might get flagged for copyright violations if I start showing this stuff on the live stream. So I'll not. I'll pass. Now I got to find my way back to the live stream again. There it is. Okay. All right. So my plans, I'm hoping I can get another live stream in before New Year's hits, but since I had time tonight, that I knew I had time, I gotta give it a shot and burn it because I may not have another live stream before the end of the year. So if I don't do another one, Merry Christmas for those who celebrate, and Happy New Year's for all, because it is, well, except for the Chinese who have their own calendar and some other countries who have their own New Year's calendars. But for us here in the States, in the Western world, using the Gregorian or the Julius calendar. I can't remember which calendar that we follow anymore, but you all get the point, right? Can you let you know before we do another stream? Yeah, well, I hopefully be able to plan them. The problem with doing a pre-planned stream is that it's even harder to throw one because I don't know if I'm going to be free 3 weeks from now or next week on a certain time, because life happens and things come up and you got to go do stuff at the last minute. So I hate to commit to doing something and then either have to cancel or just not show up for my own pre-planned live stream. And I prefer to plan them. I do. That's my first preference. But there's times where you just want to flip on the camera and like start talking. And sometimes from people I've seen who do this, they get some of the most entertaining streams because they usually have a rant that they want to, something to like get off their chest, and they just go on and on a it's like, wow, look at that guy, he's really mad, or whatever. But that's not the style of the topic that I'm doing here on this channel. I probably should open up a different channel for my rants and screeds and things. But yeah, I will definitely try to give advance notice to that. I plan on doing that. What I need to do is actually plan different times of day for streams, because I have a lot of viewers who are not in the Western Hemisphere. So I have to, there's a lot of people. Well, like in Germany, it's like the best time for them to watch stuff is like in my morning, right? But in my morning, I'm working during the weekdays, so I got to plan like a weekend morning live stream for those folks. But trying to account for everybody here. Even throwing a live stream here at like 8:30 Central Time, it's like 9:30 Eastern. It's 6:30 Pacific. So I'm trying to make sure people are home and can tune in all across the country. But for those overseas, again, I got to try to find some other time, an alternate time for them too. So anyway, create a spike. Oh, Jason, he's talking about work, not spike brewing, but he's talking about a work spike, the term used in the scaled agile framework process, whatever they call that, in the process for software development. Yeah, we've seen enough spikes at work. I don't want to think about those at home. All right. Okay. Well, I think I've been on long enough, guys. I don't have anything else to throw at you, so there's no point in holding you on for the whole hour. Or has it been about an hour? I guess it's been about an hour. Any more comments there? Yeah. So I just want to, again, Merry Christmas next weekend. If I don't see you after that for thanks or for the New Year's, Happy New Year's. Have a good year. And thanks for this short notice joining here. We got 34 people currently logged in, so that's pretty cool for a short notice stream, eh? So take care, y'all. You have a good night. Cheers, Prost, Nostrovia, Skol. What are some of the other languages? I'm getting rusty with this. I don't toast enough apparently anymore. So, okay, guys. Talk to y'all later, I hope. All right, see ya. Bye. Whoop. There we go. And